If you're watching this channel, it's because you don't enjoy watching the world squander what Christendom built, but you want to do your part. And chances are you've heard me mention a great means by doing just that. Email made by and for Catholics. Check out fidei.email. That's FIDEI.email. Built for Catholic individuals, families, organizations, and groups. They're private, secure, and of course, they're Catholic. And they're offering 2 months off on your first year for an annual subscription if you enter the coupon code Return to Tradition without spaces. That's the name of this channel, without spaces, at checkout. One might be tempted to think that the question of deaconesses has finally been settled. What is it, a month ago or something, that Pope Francis told an interviewer at 60 Minutes to her face unequivocally that you cannot open a sacrament of holy orders to women, that it was not possible to have ordained deaconesses. That hasn't stopped the conversation. Now, there's a few reasons for that. One is that when he said that, you had a flurry of scholarly work coming from modernists saying that we don't really need to have ordained deacons at all in the church. Just get rid of the sacrament of holy orders for them, and there's no reason to it. And in those works, they never once mentioned deaconesses. But the implication was pretty clear. If holy orders are the barrier, then you don't need ordained deacons anyway, because they don't perform a sacramental function in the eyes of the modernists. They assist priests, basically. They have their hands consecrated, but nothing that they do in the mind of the modernists allows for them to do their job. Preaching the word, being the church's witness for marriages and other such things. If you remove the barrier of holy orders, then all of a sudden there's no barrier to deaconesses. That's the logic. But they won't take no for an answer. They truly believe this issue is not settled. And what it would take to settle the issue would be for Francis to issue a unequivocally traditional and orthodox document invoking papal infallibility, closing the door on the issue forever, including for the non-ordained question. But he won't do that. It's not in his character. It's not in keeping. And looming over all this is the Synod on Synodality. The Instrumentum Laboris will be issued very soon, if by the time you're seeing this it hasn't been already. This was recorded a day or so before this goes live. And one of the things that has been promised to be spoken about as a topic of conversation is the role of women in the church at the coming synod. This is why you see so much talk about deaconesses from Francis and the rest, why he's had lady bishops from the Anglican Communion speaking to his Council of Cardinals and all the rest of it. This issue will not go away, no matter how much some of us would really, really like it to go away. And I have proof for you that it won't go away, because they're not taking no for an answer. So we go to katholisch.de, the official news arm of the German bishops. Yes, those German bishops. And they give us this headline. None. Pope's last word on women's diaconate not yet spoken. The Pope's recent comments on the diaconate of women have caused excitement and confusion in the church. The vice president of the Amazon Church Conference has now commented on this and explained why the question is not off the table. So you have a nun from the Amazon and the German bishops working together. Now, that's not the first time this has happened. During the Pan-Amazon Synod in 2019, a lot of Catholics were made aware that in South America, the Germans have taken a upfront, almost missionary approach there. Many of the bishops there have a German background. Many German bishops had a background doing mission work in South America, which on paper sounds great until you find out the details of their mission work. And it was not so much as confirming them in the Catholic faith, but in helping them engage in some syncretistic weirdness that isn't Catholic in the slightest. One of these bishops, by the way, bragged that in 30 years of his mission work, he never baptized a single person. To give you an idea of the caliber of prelate we're talking about here. And now you have a nun from this region who is openly talking about how the question of women's diaconate has not been closed by Francis, even though it really does look like the question had been closed by Francis. From the article, quote, "The last word has not yet been spoken on the diaconate of women. This is the opinion of the nun and vice president of the Amazon Church Conference, Laura Vicuña Pereda Monso. Although Pope Francis's recent statements have caused confusion, quote, an interview is not the teaching authority of the Church, the Franciscan told the Catholic Portal National Catholic Reporter on Tuesday. Her comments on the ordination of women as deacons come just a few weeks after the Pope gave an interview with the U.S. television channel CBS News. In the interview, Pope Francis spoke out against the ordination of women as deacons, causing a stir in the Catholic Church worldwide. Pereira Manso stressed, however, that one should not be discouraged by such ambiguities. The Pope, the nun said, has already spoken explicitly about the female diaconate at a meeting with representatives of the Amazon Church Conference a year ago and stressed that, quote, there is no turning back from the changes that are underway. Before many specific doctrinal questions can be addressed, however, the way the Church is must change, she said. This includes the Pope, lay people, and clergy. Changes would disturb those who cling to their privileges and do not want to be a church that is the people of God and a sign of the kingdom of heaven, said Pereira Manso. She is also aware that, quote, not all the necessary questions of renewal can be resolved in the current second phase of the World Synod, but it will give us and everyone the opportunity to continue the dialogue, she concluded. The Amazon Church Conference was founded following the Amazon Synod in June 2024 and approved by Pope Francis. There, the establishment of an episcopal body to promote synodality in the Amazon was proposed. The CAMA presidium consists of the president, 2 vice presidents, a representative of the Amazon bishops, and an executive committee. End quote. Note how it's the church that must change. Not that the world must change, but that the church must change. And underlying all of this is the notion of equality in secular terms. The Catholic Church unequivocally teaches that every human being is equal in one regard, that we will all stand before our blessed Lord Jesus Christ in judgment for the things we have done with this life. We will be equals in that moment. But in the rest of life, we're not. Our common sense says we're not. After all, people are born with different facilities. The church has always taught about the complementarity of men and women. But more than that, the church is hierarchical in nature. We have a pope, we have bishops, we have priests, we have deacons, we have laity, we have religious, and we all occupy different places on the church hierarchy. This entire issue, as well as synodality, is an attempt to destroy the hierarchical nature of the church and to replace it with something more secular in nature. It's an attempt to democratize the church. You see it in her language there. It's the church that must convert. She doesn't say convert, but the word convert means to change your way of living, to change your way of being, to change the way the church is church. It's an attack on the ecclesiology of the church. Ecclesiology is a fancy word from theology that just simply means the theology of what the church is, the existence of the church's mission in the world, its relationship to the world, and how the church operates internally to work for the salvation of souls. The place most people these days hear the term ecclesiology is used in reference to the liturgy, the Mass, usually in the debates about the traditional Mass, where Cardinal Roche, one of Francis's henchmen, has said that the church, its new ecclesiology after Vatican II, is not compatible with the traditional Mass that developed organically since apostolic times. That's where you usually hear the term ecclesiology. And they have said that the church changed. It converted, essentially, after the council. It's a sort of a hot take, but that's what they have said. And here she's calling for it again. It, to me, looks more like what she is suggesting here, in light of the things that have been said about the liturgy, that the church needs to continue its conversion process, continue its effort to change, to be more reflecting of the values of the world. After all, where does the equality of the flesh come from as a value? It's not from the Catholic Church. It's from what we can call the anti-church. It's from the world. Now remember who the prince of the world is. The prince of the world is not Jesus Christ. The prince of the world is Satan. It's an evil idea, and it's a categorical rejection of the magisterial authority of the church, and including the phasing out of the deaconesses in the ancient days of the church. To undo that is a rejection of everything the church has done in the last couple thousand years, to bring the church more in line with the wisdom of the world. Curious what you think about this. Are you surprised that they're not willing to take no for an answer? Do you think Francis is going to give them a non-ordained diaconate? Do you think if that happens, that a successor of his, cut from the same cloth as him, will use that as an opportunity to bring an ordained diaconate of women into the church? Despite the fact that would be metaphysically impossible. The revolutionaries we're talking about here don't really care much about metaphysics and theological truth. It's all relative to them in their quest for power. Let me know, though, what you think about this in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. So does sharing this on social media. That helps too. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.